This is Andrew McFarland with StartAJuiceBar.com, your trusted resource for all things juice bar oriented. And today I want to do a video and talk about how much does it cost to start a juice bar. I feel this question is pretty prevalent and it's important to address because most people don't know the answer to this. Some people think it costs a lot more and some people think it costs a lot less. And there's a lot of details in this conversation because it can cost more and it can cost less, and I'll just share a few scenarios with which it would cost more and which it would cost less and how you can go about approaching your business. So the first thing I want to address in this conversation is some people phrase this question to me in the way of how cheaply can I start a juice bar? And that's an interesting question because you can start a juice bar for relatively cheap, but I don't feel like that is the right mind frame to come from starting a business with. I really more so recommend that we approach starting this kind of business with how much will it cost me to be successful? Because there are times where I've seen people spend too little and I've seen people spend too much. Now, I can't give you a dollar figure on what that is. I can only share the elements of where you can focus your time, your energy, and your finances to get the best result. And this really comes from understanding your demographic, how you want to run your business, so many things. So you can spend too much money designing your space. I've seen that happen. I've seen people who really, at the end of the day, leave with immaculate looking spaces. Their space feels so good, it looks so good, but maybe their location is not great. And maybe they didn't spend enough money on their staff. And so they spend all this money on the build out, but they didn't spend money in the areas that were needed. And they also, go $100,000 over budget. I've seen that happen. I've seen people not see the value in spending money on their staff. And so when they go to open, they have an untrained staff. And then when the customers come in, they don't retain them, meaning they don't come back. And so they don't really make as much money as they would have as in the scenario if they had invested a little bit more money in their staff. So that's just a way to frame it and think about everything is really, when you're getting into the world of business, it's really about cost benefit. It's not about just sheer expense. Something is only as expensive as the amount of money it's going to make you or lose you. If you're going to spend, let's say, even just for the sake of being dramatic, you're going to spend $2 million opening up a juice bar, but that juice bar is going to make $10 million a year. Would you have considered that $2 million in investment to be expensive or cheap? Right? It's all relative to how much money you're going to make. So in the States, the United States, I'm here in California, how much does it cost? It can range. Generally, you want to budget for more than you think because you definitely don't want to start building your place out or opening your business and not have enough money to do it. And also getting back to why this is kind of complex is because it also depends on what kind of business owner you're going to be. If you're going to be a business owner who is going to be there every day and is going to also be an on-site manager, then you save yourself a manager salary. But can you actually, once again, do you have the skill set to do that? So you'll save money there, but it might cost you money because you might be learning on the job and a lot of things that a manager might know from years and years and maybe even decades of experience that they could even make you money. You're having to learn on the job, so it's costing you money. So all of these things depend. I usually tell people if we're in LA, you're in California, budget to have at least $100,000, and that's like bare minimum. And that's it, a scenario where you are working in the space and you are hiring your staff, you're training your staff, you got your design going, maybe you had to do a little bit of a build out, you have permits, so many things. Plan for that. Otherwise, you could end up in a pretty tough scenario. So I would say that that's a minimum, and then upwards between 150 and $200,000. Probably I'd say on the high side, you don't really want to spend more than $200,000 on opening your business, and that's probably in the $200,000 range. You're a little bit more removed. You're not as hands-on. You have management who's trained, and you have all the systems worked out, and you can kind of manage the business from a distance. Probably closer to the $200,000 range. Once again, these are not hard numbers set in stone. It's a general outline. You can save money here and there in a few different ways, but it's not going to be dramatic. You're not going to, from my experience, you're not going to open a juice bar for $20,000. You could do it for a lot less. Like I said, you might be able to find a scenario that you walk into and all the right things are there, that you're in the right neighborhood. And also, once again, if you're in a different state, things cost less. If you're not in one of the major cities, Chicago, New York, California, Los Angeles in particular. If you're in the middle of the United States, yeah, maybe your rent is less, so you have less of a security deposit. The build-out might be cheaper, labor might be cheaper. There's so many other scenarios that go into it. So yeah, it might cost you less than what I'm proposing right now. But this whole conversation for me is I never approach things in a way that seems black and white. Life is very organic. Having a juice business is also very organic. No pun intended, or maybe pun intended. But it depends on where you are, all the scenarios. So you can't create these blanket statements of, okay, to open a juice bar, it's going to cost you X amount. It just doesn't work that way. It all depends on the scenario. So I just wanted to give you a brief overview of the things that you want to think about, and what could cost you or less, and how do you want to approach it, and then just generally what the ballpark is of where you need to be in order to even start considering this kind of business. And also just to shift your mind state, so maybe that if you're thinking about the value of the money, really think about the value of the money relative to how much it's going to make you. So everything is an investment. All right, this is Andrew McFarland with StartAJuiceBar.com. Signing out. And as always, if you have questions or you have requests for topics for videos, please put them in the comments below. And if you haven't yet and you feel called to reach out for a free consult, you can go to StartAJuiceBar.com and reach out to me there. And I'd love to talk to you. All right, hope you're well, and I'll see you guys soon.